girls. I hope you are having the best day ever. Today we are going to read a really sweet story, and it is called Big Al. And this story is written by Andrew Clements Yoshi. This story is about a really super friendly fish, but he looks a little different. He looks a little scary. He's big, he has sharp teeth, he's the biggest fish there. But he's lonely, and we're going to read about what he does to try to fit in because he's so lonely. And let's get started. This is a fiction story. All right, Big Al. In the wide blue sea, there was a very friendly fish named Big Al. You could not find a nicer fish. Big Al was also very, very scary. Look at those teeth, guys. Very, very scary fish. Other fish seemed to have at least one friend. Some had many, but Big Al had none. He did not really blame the other fish. How could he expect little fish to trust a great big fish with eyes and skin and teeth like this? So Big Al was lonely and cried big salty tears into the big salty sea. He was so sad he didn't have his own friends. Would you be friends with Big Al even though he was scary looking? Big Al really wanted friends, so he worked at it. First, he tried wrapping himself up with seaweed. He thought it was a great disguise, but no one else thought so. Who wants to stop and talk to a floating plant that has big sharp teeth? Oh, poor Big Al. Then he thought that if he puffed himself up around, the other fish would laugh and see how clever and silly he could be. All they saw was how big he could be, and they steered clear. He made himself bigger and more scarier. Poor Big Al. Very early one morning, Big Al went to the bottom and flopped and wiggled himself into the sand until he was almost all covered up. He looked much smaller. When other fish came near, Big Al talked and joked with them and had a delightful time. But then one scratchy little grain of sand got stuck in his gills. And he sneezed. When the clouds of sand cleared away, all the other fish were gone. And there he is, and that's when he sneezed. Poor Big Al. Big Al even changed his color one day so he could look like he belonged to a school of tiny fish passing by. He bubbled along with them for a while, laughing and feeling like he was just one of the crowd. But he was so big and clumsy that when all the tiny fish darted to the left and then quickly back to the right, Big Al just plowed straight ahead. He went bumping and thumping right into the little fish. Before he could even say, "Excuse me," they were all gone, and he was all alone again, sadder than ever. Poor Big Al. Just when Big Al was starting to be sure that he would never have a single friend, something happened. He was floating along sadly, watching some of the smaller fish, and was wishing they would come closer. As he watched, a net dropped down silently from above, and in an instant they were caught. Oh no. Big Al forgot all about being lonely, and he forgot all about being sad, and his eyes bulged out bigger and rounder than ever. And with a mighty flip of his tail, he opened his mouth and charged straight at the net. The net was strong, but Big Al was stronger. He ripped through it, and all the little fish rushed out through the hole that he had ripped. But when Big Al turned around and go out of the hole, he got all tangled up in the net himself. He was stuck. The net went higher and higher towards the bright surface of the sea, and the little fish watched Big Al as he disappeared above them. When the little fish were able to speak again, all they could talk about was the huge, wonderful fish that had saved them. How great to be free, but what a shame that the big fellow had been captured. Oh no. So he took their place. Just then, there was a tremendous crash and a splash above them, and the small fish dashed away. Was it the net again? Not at all. It was Big Al. Those fishermen took one look at him and threw him back into the ocean. They didn't want him. And there he is. And now there is one huge, puffy, scary, fierce-looking fish in the sea who has more friends than anyone else. Big Al. And there is his shadow with all his fishes around him. Boys and girls, a lot of times we see people that look different from us or might look like they don't have anything in common with us. And they might be really lonely inside and wanting a friend to come sit next to them or offer to go swing on the tire swing with them or play freeze tag with them on the playground. What Big Al teaches us is that true friendship is more than what we look on the outside. We shouldn't judge people for what they look like, but how they treat us and how they make us feel. And Big Al was lonely, and all he wanted was just one friend. And he tried so hard to look like everybody else, but that's not how the Lord made him. The Lord made us all special and gave us all these our own special gifts to share with everyone. And when we try to change who the Lord made us, we can get ourselves in a lot of trouble and find ourselves really sad and by ourselves. So we should try to treat each other kindly and try to be friends with as many people as we can. And remember to look past how people look on the outside, but look on the inside and how they make us feel and how they treat us. That's how we should judge our friendships. All right, boys and girls, I hope you are being kind to one another and your brothers and sisters and your mom and dad. And I will see you for our next story. Have a great day. See you soon.